Okay, so what you're about to hear sounds like it was pulled straight out of a sci-fi movie, but I promise you, it's not. This is the real story of how animation, music, and one artist's journey over more than a decade all crashed together to create a global phenomenon that, seriously, no one saw coming.
In 2026, a K-pop group that doesn't exist won a Grammy. Yeah, you heard that right. A completely fictional band from an animated movie just made actual music history. We're talking topping charts all over the world and walking away with one of the biggest awards in the entire industry.
So the big question is, how? How in the world did a fake girl group from a movie become this real-world, record-breaking sensation? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack right now.
It really all comes back to one song. It's called Golden, and it's from the smash hit Netflix and Sony Pictures animation movie, K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, the movie was huge, sure. It became Netflix's most watched original film ever. But the soundtrack? Wow, the soundtrack just took on a whole life of its own.
And look, we're not just talking about a popular song from a movie. Golden was a global monster. It actually won a Grammy, the first ever for K-pop. It went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, #1 in the UK. It topped the charts in more than 30 countries and even got a nomination for Song of the Year. This wasn't just a hit song, it was a total cultural reset.
But here's the thing. Behind this animated sensation, there's a very, very real artist. And her story is all about a massive shift. A story of going from working in the shadows for years to suddenly being thrown into the global spotlight. The artist right at the heart of this whole thing is named Ejae. And she wasn't just the singing voice for the movie's main character, Rumi. She was one of the key songwriters who actually wrote the hit. And you can hear it, she poured her own life and emotions right into that music. You know, people call it an overnight success, but hers was literally over a decade in the making. She got her start in the brutal K-pop trainee system at SM Entertainment, then built a career as a songwriter, a hitmaker behind the scenes. It wasn't until she landed the role of Rumi that the world finally heard her voice, front and center, and that led to that history-making win. And when you look at it, the contrast between her two careers is just wild. For years, she was the secret weapon, writing songs for massive groups like Twice, Red Velvet, and aespa. Now, she's the voice of a global hit, she's performing on Jimmy Fallon, signing with huge agencies, and she's K-pop's first ever Grammy winner. It's an absolutely incredible transformation.
But as amazing as Ejae's talent is, it was just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. This whole thing wasn't some happy accident. No. This was an engineered, perfect storm where all these industry titans came together.
I mean, just look at this formula. You've got the creative firepower of Sony Pictures Animation, you have the worldwide distribution of Netflix, you have this incredible team of Korean, American, and Canadian creators making it feel authentic, and then you bring in a super team of veteran K-pop producers like Teddy, 24, and Ido. This project was literally built for global domination from the get-go. And this is how the fictional group Huntrix actually came to life. You had amazing actors like Arden Cho doing the speaking parts, but the singing, the part that conquered the charts, that was a totally different crew of artists. Ejae, Audrey Nuna, and Rei Ami. They were the real soul of the music, the human Huntrix, if you will. And here's the part that really blows my mind. The three of them who created this flawless, powerful vocal performance, they recorded all their parts completely separately. They had never even met in person until the movie's premiere. It just shows you how much raw talent was involved, from the singers to the producers, to make something recorded in pieces feel so connected. So, of course, a win this big and this weird didn't just make headlines. It kicked off a huge debate inside the music industry about what K-pop even is in 2026. It's all about genre and identity. So everyone started asking, is Golden an American pop song that just has some K-pop flavor? Or is it a real K-pop breakthrough? And this question, it gets right to the heart of a new reality we're all living in, where music is completely globalized. So on one side of the argument, you've got critics like Lim Hee-yoon. And their point is, look, even with Korean creators, musically, this song is American pop. And it makes sense, right? It was a US movie on a US platform, and the song follows a lot of Western pop formulas. And this whole debate really splits into two camps. Some people see this as an amazing sign of K-pop's evolution, like proof that it's hit a standard that even the Grammys can recognize. But others are a bit worried. They see it as a sign that, to be more accessible, K-pop might be losing some of the unique things that made it so special in the first place. So after all that, the charts, the awards, the argument,
What does this moment really mean? What is the real legacy here? Not just for the artist, but for the entire industry.
Well, I think it comes down to one number: 12. 12 years. That's how long Ejae worked in music, mostly in the shadows, before she ever got to perform for the public. This wasn't just about a hit song. This was the payoff for a long, incredibly difficult journey.
And that victory was professional for sure, but also so personal. Think about it. She lands K-pop its first Grammy, she gets signed by a huge American agency, WME, and then, just a few days after that massive win, she announces she's engaged to producer Sam Kim. It was this absolute whirlwind of success that was over a decade in the making.
And that's really the final takeaway. A new kind of legacy was created here. This whole thing proved that something truly authentic, something that connects with people on a deep level, can come from a concept that is, on paper, completely manufactured. And why did it work? Because fans heard the truth in Ejae's voice. They heard a decade of her struggle and her breakthrough. And that raw, real emotion is what made a fictional song connect with millions.
So it leaves us with one last thing to think about. As fiction and reality get more and more tangled up in entertainment, who gets to write the next big hit? Will it be a superstar, a songwriter working behind a curtain, or maybe a cartoon demon hunter who just has a really good story to tell?
Media GenX. If you liked this story, show some love with a like, subscribe for future updates, and share it around. Until the next headline.